Hey there everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. I'm Fanula. I'm in West Petaluma at Cottage Gardens of Petaluma today, and it is a gorgeous June day. Still spring, and we've got the fog, and it is really, really lovely, so I hope you're having just as fabulous a day as I am. So today, I just want to do something simple, enjoy my garden while the chickens are making a racket, and I'm going to put together a couple of hanging baskets. And let's jump right in. So first off, I'm going to start with a shade hanging basket. Just like any other planting that you might do in a container or in the ground, you want to look at your plants and what their requirements are. So I want to do this particular basket for a shady location, so I'm picking out plants that prefer to be in afternoon shade. Let me interrupt here for 1 second. It is June, allergy season, so forgive me for looking so sleepy and so the way I'm looking today, because I am suffering from allergies. So if I start sniffling, that's what it's about. Anyway, back to the baskets. I'm going to do a shade basket first because I have this particular location in mind that I want to do a shade basket for. So I'm picking out shade-loving plants. I am going to start with, actually let me talk about the actual basket. It's really important to me that the actual container for my hanging basket creation looks good. And these, I love the look of these raindrops that have the basket built in, because they look great even without plants in them. That's really, really important to me. So then I have a coir liner, and then I filled it with a really great mix of flower fertilizer and potting soil. Obviously, of course, it's primarily the potting soil with a little bit of flower fertilizer mixed in. And now I'm going to pick out my shade plants, and I'm starting with coleus for the center. And I picked this particular coleus. It's one of the wizard mix. They are just so tough, so wonderful, and so very beautiful. I need to remember to keep my gloves on just so I don't get too filthy, because I do have to go back to work right after this. So this coleus is going to fill up the top, spill out over the top, and I love how the color of the foliage kind of goes with the rusty metal of this beautiful little raindrop. That's going to be my centerpiece. And then I'm going to pop in a few of my absolute favorite little violas. This is the mini tapestry mix. Again, super floriferous, never seems to stop blooming, can take a little more sun than some of the other violas, and each one of these beautiful little faces is frilly and fluffy and gorgeous. So yeah, I'm going to pop in a couple of these. And I did bring a trowel, but I've decided just to use my fingers instead, because I really can see how to, exactly where I want to put it, and I'm not going to damage the roots of that coleus. We've got some noises going on in the background here, but it's all okay. We can keep going. One thing I want to talk about today, because we had a lot of questions over the weekend about things that people are reading on the internet. And it's something I've really noticed lately, is an awful lot of the advice on the internet is very much fear-based. And that is such a sad, sad thing, because gardening is all about being outdoors in nature. And we live in such a fabulous climate here in Zone 9B. Yes, if it's a full-on sunny afternoon, you should wear your hat or sunscreen. But there really isn't that much to be afraid of outside in the garden. There's no real rules. There's guidelines, and it's great to follow them. But if you feel like pushing those guidelines and doing something a little bit different, go for it, because you're going to learn so much. Okay, back to the hanging basket here. I've got my coleus, I've got my adorable little violas, and I'm firming the soil in really, really well But I think it needs one more thing. And just like any container, kind of nice to have that thriller and filler and spiller. So I'm going to add in that spiller. And I have some Creeping Jenny, or Lysimachia, which is just beautiful. And it's the very same color as that lovely coleus in the middle. I'm going to pop in a couple of these in the couple of little gaps, and I am way overfilling these. If you were planting in the ground, you would obviously space things out a little bit better, but I am going for drama, excitement, and a full hanging basket. Creeping Jenny is a wonderful plant. It loves the shade, and as its name suggests, it creeps. It sends out little roots all along the stems, and it's a great ground cover for a shady location. What I want from it in this little container, though, I want spilling, and I know it's going to fit the bill. Because the bottom of this container is rounded, to make potting up easier, I popped it into a 2-gallon pot, empty pot. That was a trick I learned from the guys here at Cottage Gardens. So yeah, the internet provides so much valuable information, but here's where critical thinking really comes into play. There's also information there that is just made to scare you, to buy products, and to, take away your critical thinking, honestly. I talked to somebody the other day who were really terrified of the weeds on their property. I mean, literally terrified. And that's wrong. You can't be afraid to go out in your own garden. You just can't. It's full of butterflies and hummingbirds and nature and gorgeousness and flowers. And you are in charge of your landscape. No need to be afraid of it. Okay, I think it just needs one more and my little shady container will be complete. Then I'm going to get to work on the sun-loving one. Hanging baskets add a beautiful layer of color up high. I'm going to put this one, I think, right outside my kitchen window and just watch it grow and watch it bloom. And, the view out my window is lovely already, but this is just going to make it even better. Okay, all this needs now is to be watered in and to hang it up and let it mature, fill in, and be gorgeous. Then in about 6 weeks or so, obviously I'm going to water it regularly because it is in a rather small container. It's going to need regular water. Coir is great because it does allow the roots to breathe. Oxygen is fabulous, but it dries out a little bit quicker than anything that is plastic lined. So if you live in an area that is windy or drier than where I'm going to be putting this, you might want to line it with some plastic to conserve that moisture a little bit better. I'll be watering this regularly, and in about 4 to 6 weeks, I will feed it. And I'll keep doing that all the way to the end of the growing season. The other added benefit of having violas in there, they're actually edible. So if I ever feel like topping off a salad with a couple of viola petals, they're right here and I can do it. And now for a sunny hanging basket. Same size, same beautiful potting soil, same granular flower blooming, flower promoting fertilizer. And this time I still can't quite decide. Am I going for a blue theme? Am I going for a pink theme? And I think I'm settling on the blue because I absolutely love this particular petunia. Each and every one of them, the buds are very dark, and then they open up, they come into a more sky blue, and as they fade, they're even paler, almost a lilac color. So just with one plant, you get an awful lot going on. So this is going to be my centerpiece, and it is Surfinia Sky Blue, and it's going to really fill the whole thing up. But I'm going to overfill it again because I want a lot of drama, a lot of excitement. This is the one. And I'm going to add some lobelia to pop around the edges. You can just fill up your basket with just one plant. Something as small as this, just one plant's going to work. But I kind of want a few different textures, a few different colors. But I'm sort of going to stick with the blue theme. This is a pretty young plant, so the roots hadn't fully filled out that 4-inch pot. I like how it's looking already. I'm just going to go really simple and fill in the edges with lobelia, because lobelia is one of those classic spillers that looks good everywhere. It's also a great plant for sun or shade. If you've ever grown lobelia before and you know how it self-seeds, it will pop up anywhere it wants to. And I've seen it grown in the sun, in the shade, and it's happy wherever it is. How's everybody else's allergies these days? It is quite insane. What I do for a living, being outdoors, in among plants, I feel I find it very ironic that I also have allergies. But at the same time, I wouldn't do anything different. I absolutely love being outdoors. I love working with plants every day of the week. I love working with customers. So, wouldn't trade it for the world. So, hanging baskets. The sun hanging baskets will obviously need a little more attention than the shade ones as far as watering is concerned and drying out winds and whatnot. So just keep an eye on it. Make sure it's well hydrated. But the other thing a lot of times I've noticed is that people tend to hang up the hanging basket, walk away and totally forget about it, or they go the other extreme and overwater it. So just like any plant grown anywhere, keep an eye on it. Yellowing leaves will tell you it's either too little water or too much water. And you'll know by sticking your finger in the soil. If it's wet, 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 you're obviously giving it too much water. If it's dry, that's not good either. You don't want it dusty dry. What you're aiming for is as wet as a wrung out sponge. The other nice thing about this particular kind of hanging basket, easy to switch out with the seasons, with whatever plants you feel like popping in. Very easy to switch out. They're petite, and they're instantly gorgeous. And they look good any time of the year. I do have them in this size. I've got them in a larger size if you want to do a bigger plant. I was going to pot up one of my really nice sunburgias a little bit later on today, those black-eyed Susan vines, in a very deep version of this. That's going to be amazing. But for today's purposes, we're just going to do these little guys here. But I tell you, where we live here in Northern California, we have the best climate, I think, in the world. Yes, we don't get too much summer rain, or any. But where we are, and we get that morning fog to cool us down, and then the sun comes out and makes the day absolutely spectacular. The plants are as happy as us gardeners. This one I want to fill in a little bit more. It's not looking as instantly gorgeous as my shade one. It needs to fill out a little bit more before I put it anywhere. But you get the idea. So when you cram a bunch of plants into that small space, you want to really stay on top of the fertilizing. You really have to be aware that there's only that much soil, therefore that many nutrients in there. And in this particular one, there's going to be 4 separate plants. So I might feed this even a little more frequently than every 6 weeks. I might do this one every 2 weeks or so to get the best out of it. And what I want to use is a bloom food. Now I started it off with the EB Stone Organics granular, just because I could mix it into the soil really well and get it off to a fabulous start. But what I'm going to be topping it up with is Maxi Bloom. It's formulated especially to push blooms, keep everything really well fertilized. And I'm going to do that every 2 weeks or so for this one. And then obviously you do some deadheading. Lobelia doesn't need it, but the petunias quite often do a little bit. And then just keep an eye on it and make sure it's doing everything you want your container to do. But just picture it in a couple of weeks when everything is growing and spilling and just looking absolutely gorgeous. But the nice thing about this particular hanging basket, it looks nice anyway. I am so not crazy about the plastic ones because I don't like the look of plastic. I don't like seeing the plastic, and especially when you're hanging up a hanging basket, it's above your eye level usually, and you're looking mostly at the plastic, and then the flowers need to cover it up. So this looks good right from the get-go. So there we go. I particularly like my shade one. I like how it's instantly really rather cute. Really like it. This one needs to grow in a little bit, but it's going to be beautiful in a week or so. So that's kind of my message for you today. Don't be a perfectionist in your garden. You're working with nature. This is not fabulous looking right this second, but I know, give it a week, it's going to be amazing. This one is amazing right from the get-go, but that's a gift. That is great. I am very happy. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Let me know what you think about them. Let me know your own combinations. Make yourself a hanging basket. Put together a container today. It's gorgeous weather. Best time of year. You can find so many blooming things everywhere you are in all the nurseries all over this country. And I bet you could make something gorgeous before you know it. So there you go, everybody. I hope you liked this video. I hope you're really having a wonderful time in your garden. Drop by Cottage Gardens anytime at all. Pick up plants here. Drop by your own local nursery. Get plants there wherever you're gardening. Have yourself a ton of fun. Thanks again for watching. See you next time, everybody. Happy gardening.